What's up? Welcome in. We're back. It's another episode of the You Like That Feels Great Baby podcast. I'm Erik Stenholm along with my co-host Joey Moore. A lot to get into this week. We've been out for a while. We took a week off for Christmas, and then just as we were about to record last week, we saw the terrifying Damar Hamlin situation and said no reason to record. It was really, really rough to watch, but thoughts are with him, and it looks like he's making a miraculous recovery. So I feel much better talking about football this week than I would have last week. So big shout out to Damar Hamlin, and I hope he's able to recover soon. And gosh, if he would make it back to the NFL, that would be one of the all-time stories in the history of the league. So sending our best to him. When we talk about the NFL, though, we always talk about, especially you and I, Joey, we talk about how much we value body language, how much we value rah-rah, and like, oh my, X's and O's are extremely important, especially with your coach being Shanahan. But what can you say about Dan Campbell tonight in the game we just watched? Holy shit, the Lions won. What a game.
Before I get into there, you said it so well, but yeah, just on the whole like Damar Hamlin thing, it's amazing how when this week started, how tragic it was watching it, but 6-7 days later, whatever it is, boy, it sure seems like it's one heck of an inspirational story. And yeah, still prayers to him. Hopefully he continues the great progress he's made, and maybe see him back on an NFL field, but at least just enjoy life with his family and friends. But back to meathead Dan Campbell. I could run through a wall for that guy.
20-16 win. I mean,
calls he had today for being a guy who gets such a rap for being a meathead. He seems to know what he's doing, at least somewhat. And he's got a hot offensive coordinator, at least Ben Johnson, on the market for maybe a head coaching job. But what a job Aaron Glenn did today as defensive coordinator, because I think he was I think they were saying he should get fired about midway through the year, especially after that Carolina game when they gave up 945 yards on the ground. But just what a win. I mean, the game essentially meant not that much to them, but I mean, you don't think that team and that the players for him, they're just thinking like, man, we went from what they were last year, 3-14, to 9-8, better record than the Packers.
Only lost out on the playoffs because of a tiebreaker with a loss to Seattle earlier in the year. The crazy thing is, like, the second they showed Dan Campbell in the pregame interview with Melissa Stark, and they're like, how did you motivate your team given that your season ended, 20 minutes before the game started? He goes, we're here to send them home. And I was like, let's go. Like, I thought there was a chance that
I was like,
they could roll over.
Cool.
And then I was like, no way.
it was like, oh, that's cool. But like, everyone says that, like, that's good in theory, right? But like 45 minutes before kickoff, they're like, your season's over. But yeah, that's just even like a bigger credit to him. Like, they did. I mean, they look like they wanted to win. They act like it. And boy, but even if they didn't win, I was saying, like, what is, like, the Packers, like, Carolina ran up and down on them. Like, they just, I don't know, something was off all year with them, and who knows that it bit him in the ass at Lambeau Field against Jared Goff and the Lions, but it did.
Yeah. They finished 8-2, incredible turnaround for them. And obviously, a super positive feeling for Lions fans going into the offseason. They also picked 6th and 18th now in the first round of the next draft. So that's pretty incredible, especially given how they turned things around this season. They still, awesome for them.
I didn't necessarily want to sign up to play Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, but after watching Hard Knocks, they seem like they got a lot of really good guys in that team. I know they're in your NFC North, but good for them.
Hats off to them.
You just love it when good football players come together to be a good football team and play good football and win good football games.
And when bad football players and bad people on bad teams lose and their season is over. I'm talking to you, Karen Frogers, who's going to be watching this postseason from home.
He might be tuning into this.
Yeah, he might be listening to this. And if he is, please get the vaccine, sir. So let's talk about what's next for the Packers, I guess. I mean, that was the storyline the second the game ended. We'll get to the playoffs here shortly, but sure looked like that was it for him in Green Bay. I mean, he made a big theatrical exit. Has to be it, right?
I don't know if I can even pretend to know what he's thinking because I don't know if he knows what he's thinking. You could convince me he comes back and like just run it back, which I think is the least likely option.
Mm-hmm.
You could convince me he retires. You could convince me he wants to get traded. And I think a good destination might be Tennessee. But I have no idea. But today was a bad look. Today was really bad.
Yeah.
No Devontae, like just because it started to feel like the playoff game last year against the Niners, where it's like you've kind of been in control of the game, but then like something happens. The Lions had that big drive. They go and it's like, okay, butts are tight, and then he throws. And he just kind of looks like, I don't want to say he panics, but he just looks like
it was that all-out blitz on the 3rd and 10 where he threw the pick.
Did the same, yeah, he just said, just like puts his head down and says, "I'm throwing it."
Yep.
And
he should
have had one earlier in the game get picked, but the guy didn't. He dropped it, and man,
I mean, rough day for him, rough day for the Packers, and looking like that era for them is
we talk about
over.
Like some coaches being frauds. Is Matt LaFleur a fraud?
I don't think so. I think Rodgers has declined drastically this season without Davante Adams. I think LaFleur's a good coach. I just, we'll see how he does. I don't know whether to
give him credit or not give him credit that he's had Aaron Rodgers. Because I think, well, he's been really good. Like, who wouldn't win with him? But then I've also think that guy seems like a pretty big head case to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think LaFleur's the problem there, but a lot to be sorted there in the offseason. And as
before we move on, what an idiot, Quay Walker.
Oh,
how about you don't push the medical staff?
Yeah, this week of all weeks, too.
He might get singled out in a later segment in this wonderful podcast.
Yeah, that was one of the all-time bonehead plays right there. Really changed the game, brought the Lions right to the doorstep, and they punched it in from there. Incredible moment.
Even if the score was 900-0, what an idiot. Anyways.
Absolute blunder. So let's pivot to our teams. The Niners just rolled over the Cardinals as everyone expected today, and then the Vikings comfortably won against Chicago. So Niners are the 2 seed. They are surprisingly playing Geno Smith, who was written off but didn't write back in the first game of Super Wildcard Weekend. Seahawks at Niners next week against all odds. We all thought it was going to be Green Bay. They choked it away tonight. And then the Vikings, we knew last week it was an almost certain matchup at home against the Giants, and that's where we are. How are you feeling heading into your matchup against Seattle, knowing that you've missed Aaron Rodgers, which I think you have to feel good about, and now you're facing Geno and the old foes from the NFC West?
My head tells me that this should be, I mean, they should win. I mean, pretty comfortably, but yeah, Niners, Seattle, just weird shit happens. Weird shit happens. He is with Mr. Unlimited, and he's no longer there, but weird shit just happens. But yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, I'd rather see Geno Smith or Aaron Rodgers. I'd rather see Geno Smith, and that's about what it comes down to.
Yeah, it looks like that game is going to be the Saturday early game, so you're going to get this out of the way early. The Vikings are playing Sunday at 1:30 Pacific. That's going to be the Fox middle game of the 3 on Sunday on what they're calling Super Wildcard Weekend. I was having a debate with a friend earlier about, I guess you are more on the side of, just play your guys. If you're going to, win the Super Bowl, you have to beat everybody in your conference anyway. And I was more on the side of, I wish the Vikings would have rested everyone today because I want to play the Giants. So given that now, if we won, we would have played Seattle instead of the Giants, it really didn't matter that much because I was trying to avoid the Packers. But I feel very good about this matchup with the Giants. I think everyone in the NFC wanted to play the Giants. Especially with the Packers and Lions looming. It's a little different now, but a lot of anticipation for me, given this is the first Vikings home playoff game since 2017, since the Minneapolis Miracle. So I'm going to be pumped. I'm probably not going to breathe for 3 hours. Hopefully, it leads to the unthinkable, the You Like That Feels Great Baby second round matchup that we've been talking about seemingly for like 8 weeks. But pretty wild state of affairs in the NFC right now, which is where I want to go to next. So the Eagles did not look great today, and they haven't looked great for almost a month. The Vikings lost 2 of their 3 best offensive linemen for the season and are just have a complete patchwork offensive line. My question to you is the NFC San Francisco's to lose at this point? Because I'm starting to lean that way.
I want to say that, but I don't. I mean, we haven't done a podcast in about 3 weeks, and the defense I don't think has stopped anybody in 3 weeks. I know they played what was left of the Arizona Cardinals today. But if you ask me, do I think it's Philly? No, they haven't looked good in 3 or 4 weeks, and Jalen Hurts didn't do much today against the Giants junior varsity squad to make me think otherwise. Minnesota, I don't know if you're going to get the Minnesota team that beat Buffalo or the one that played Dallas and got removed off the television. Do I think Dallas? Absolutely not. I think they're terrible. I think Tampa's terrible.
Giants not good.
Giants, Seattle, yeah. I mean, no. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It's not that the Niners are the prohibitive favorite, but on current form and the injury situations and everything, obviously they're going to be the betting favorite to come out of the NFC. But it really feels like if you get past the second round, and you're playing, say, the Eagles or Tampa even or whoever, you're going to be a fairly sizable favorite in the championship game with the 7th round Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback in his rookie year. This is freaking nuts, man. This feels unprecedented.
He had his worst game so far today, and it wasn't that bad, so that's a good sign. But JJ Watt, I got to give him credit. He got 2 sacks. He looked good. Got a standing ovation too. I mean, which was, I guess, cool, but it was weird because it was like his first game he'd ever played here. It was like, I was like, what a good player, but I'm like, I don't. Anyways, yeah, I mean, if you put a gun to my head and I had to put somebody coming out of the NFC, I'd probably say the Niners, but I wouldn't feel good about it.
Your top 2 quarterbacks suffered season-ending injuries, and now you're feeling pretty good about the Super Bowl. So, pretty incredible story. It's unprecedented. The only thing that comes close is Trent Green and Kurt Warner in the '99 Rams, but I think that's kind of a completely different situation. The whole Nick Foles thing, yeah, it could be. I don't know. He's a rookie. Foles,
Nick Foles was, yeah. Was he a first rounder?
Foles was a 2nd or 3rd rounder, I believe, but it was like his 5th or 6th season in the league at that point. And this is a guy, yeah, it's incredible. So let's just go through the Super Wild Card weekend in order here. Take a look at those games, make some predictions, and then we'll give our playoff brackets and who we think are going to meet in the Super Bowl and who's going to win. So we'll start Saturday. Niners hosting Seattle. You would imagine that's going to be Fox's number 2 crew on that game. So that would be who? That would be, it's not Burkhardt and Olsen. It would be, who are they going to put?
Is it the World Series guy, Joe Davis?
Oh, Joe Davis.
Moose?
Yeah. I mean, if it's them, that's good. I thought Joe Davis did the Vikings-Bills insane game earlier this year.
We got Foxes. I feel like they're Z crew today. I don't know. Chris Myers and Robert Smith. I think we got the worst.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a great one in Levi's. We got to check the weather. It has been a monsoon in the Bay Area for a week.
It's going to be wet.
Yeah, I mean, that probably plays even more into the Niners' hand too with their run game. So that one will start the weekend off, and then the shocker of all shockers, Jaguars hosting the Chargers is NBC's Saturday night game, which everyone in America expected that to be the early game on Saturday because of, the relative lack of a fan base for both of those teams. But the whole storyline, I was trying to make the point with you earlier before we started recording. The whole storyline here is you got Lawrence ascending, Herbert coming towards his peak. I think they are going with the quarterback storyline here. This probably would have been Rodgers versus the Niners had they won that game, but Pretty crazy that they're putting that one in prime time with NBC's number 2 crew.
Yeah, I would have bet. I texted you. I would have bet my entire bank account that would have been the first game, early one on Saturday, while everyone's at the grocery store. But yeah, no, I remember earlier the Jags beat the crap out of the Chargers in LA earlier this year.
Right. A lot of injuries for LA at that time. And I think that was the game that Herbert tried to play when he definitely shouldn't have played with the rib injury. But even so, I mean, the Chargers, we'll talk about this later in my I'm doing 3 picks this week because there's only 6 games, so I can't do 5. But when we get to that point, I kind of do like Jacksonville here, given the Chargers are, I mean, Staley is going to take major heat for today, where Bosa and Mike Williams both went down with injuries playing in a game that meant absolutely nothing to them. So leaning Jacksonville there. It's not like it's going to be a barn burner, but that's one where I may look. And by the way, the Chargers are favored in that game on the road, which I do not agree with. Sunday, Sunday early game. I mean, Miami at Buffalo. This one is going to be, I mean, is there any way in hell to a place? Do you think? I don't think so.
No. I think it's just going to be one big Damar Hamlin celebration, and they might play a football game. That Buffalo's going to win 41-3.
Yeah, the line has opened at 10.5, Buffalo 10.5. I was like, that probably should be 17. I think it will get to,
even if Tua played, I'm not sure.
I don't
know, but they did play them tough a few weeks ago in Buffalo. But
with a healthy Tua at that point, I don't know.
There's no way.
Yeah, even if it's Teddy Bridgewater and one of my maybe 10 favorite players in NFL history, like my guy Teddy, they have no hope whatsoever. Like that is going to be a Buffalo coronation in that game. And then of course, you know, Vikings hosting the Giants. That's the middle game on Sunday. That's going to be Fox's number 1 crew, it looks like. So that'll be Burkhardt and Olsen. I guess of the NFC games, that's probably the least anticipated one, but it does have a big market in New York. Vikings open as 3-point favorites. Going to be a tough one because every game's a tough one when you're a Viking fan. I mean, it's not going to be a blowout win for us. And after that first game where the Giants, I felt like they kind of played, you know, they played okay. They didn't really, you know, pull out all the stops. I think in this one, especially with the way Dayball coaches, we got to be ready for some trickeration there.
It's interesting. I don't know what to make of the game a couple of weeks with this one. Like, I don't know if that helps. I don't know who that helps.
Right.
If it does.
Right.
Do the Giants look at that, be like, oh, wow, it took a 61-yarder to beat us, or we gave them everything we had and lost?
Yeah, going to be a ton of Barkley in that game, his first playoff game. And
I don't love that the Giants just went to Cancun today with resting guy. I don't love that. Like, I don't mean to do what the Chargers did, but I don't know.
Yeah, you would. I think you have always been a proponent of you play your guys, and then whatever happens. You know, you have to beat whoever they put in front of you. So resting guys or trying to angle for a certain matchup is something you don't like.
Playing like a half or even like a couple drives. I don't know. They're so creatures of habit. I'm always afraid that they get, I don't know, they just not lose it, like forget how to play, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So here's the Sunday night game that's going to get Tirico and Collinsworth. Baltimore at Cincinnati. No coin toss involved, thankfully, because Cincinnati got their business handled today. So since he's opened as a 6-point favorite, I think that's going to move. So I am going to pick Baltimore as one of my picks of the week, but I want to advise people to wait because even when Lamar Jackson is announced in, because I think he is going to play, the line is probably not going to move much. Everybody and their brother is going to be betting Cincinnati here because they have the better quarterback, the better offense, but something about this game, I am sold on Baltimore. I was telling you this today, and you're telling me I'm crazy.
Yeah, with or without Lamar, the whole Lamar thing. You know what? And that's gonna be my take later. Is I think Lamar might have played his last game as a Raven, and something's weird. Like they're not even saying like, oh, he's scheduled like this week or scheduled for. To see the training staff Tuesday. It's like they're asking John Harbaugh. He's like, I don't know. I don't know when he's like no update. Like they don't even know if he's like
Nothing
in the
from
building or
Schefter,
not.
nothing
It's just
from
weird.
anybody.
It's
Yeah.
just really weird.
Mhm.
He doesn't have an agent, so like no one's maybe advising on certain things like, hey Lamar, we know you're pissed, but like I don't know. I don't it's something's weird. But
Mhm.
anyways, I might root for the Ravens on this alone. I find it as cool as it was when Damar it came out that he said when he wrote down "Did we win," which was like the most electric thing I've ever heard in my life. I just find it equally like kind of sad, kind of funny that the Bengals have gone from pray for Damar to what happened tomorrow real quick with the whole coin toss. They're like,
Right.
we were praying for you, but whoa, we don't want to do a coin toss. This isn't fair. They're like, this
Mhm.
ain't right. And I'm like, okay, bud.
Yeah.
This guy almost died. Like, can you stop complaining about a coin toss? Like, how about you just beat Tyler Huntley?
Yeah. It wasn't even Huntley today, too. It was like Anthony Brown or something. And they still,
That's
I
right.
mean,
It
they
wasn't
cut.
even him.
Yeah. They won and they covered, but I am not sold on Zach Taylor. He went to the Super Bowl last year. He won the division again this year. The guy could probably win 5 Super Bowls. I'm never going to be sold on that guy. It's just like the
It's just,
greatness
you
of
know what it
Burrow.
is? You know what it is? It's his face.
It's kind of true.
Like, I feel like that is like he does. Like his resume is pretty good for his third year, right?
Yeah. Fourth year.
Fourth year. Okay.
Yeah.
So third year got to the Super Bowl, not terrible. And we're
Right.
like, he's a fraud.
Yeah.
And then you know what? The only thing is it looks like his face because I look at him, I'm like, you look like something's up.
Yeah. He looks like a guy that's going to be
I
the
don't know. I don't
reason
know
your
whether
team lost.
you like. I don't know whether his face says his dad gave him the job or I just want to punch it. But
It's
he's
so
done
true.
nothing to me.
And last year, it killed me because I bet on Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. I bet on Tennessee, I believe, in the divisional round. And the Bengals proved me wrong because of the greatness of Burrow. I feel like the coaching disadvantage, Harbaugh with a healthy Lamar, which is a big if, against, the incredible Burrow, but with an incompetent head coach. I mean, this is going to be a wild one. I am ready to bet on Baltimore. I want it to get to 7.5. Well, right now,
I
it's at
guarantee
6.
you, NBC hopes Lamar's playing.
Oh God. Yeah, they must have heard something for them to take that as their, because you would have thought they would have asked for either Dallas versus Tampa or the Vikings game, or they
I'm
didn't
kind of
want.
shocked that ESPN got Dallas Tampa.
Yeah, let's go to that one next. So that's Dallas at Tampa, Monday Night Football, Buck and Aikman. That's probably the game of the weekend. I'm pumped for
Probably.
that one. Dallas is a 3-point favorite, and we'll get to it later, but we're leaning towards one side here. If anybody, any one of our 11 listeners remembers Joey's wild take from a couple weeks ago, we really do not like Dallas, and we really are going to take the NFC South champion who went 8-9 in this game.
Yeah, I don't know if we're picking games yet, but yeah, I know today didn't mean much for Dallas, but oh boy, like I wouldn't feel good.
No, they're not a great look. They played the guys
It's
for most
another
of the
pick,
game.
Dak. Like, just stop throwing it to the other team.
And I feel like he was very secure with the ball the first 5 or 6 years in the league for him. And for whatever reason this year, I mean, he has just given the ball away week after week. So hard to feel good about Dallas at all going into that game. So before we get to your Jack and the Bum of the week, and as always, we got some incredible candidates. We're going to mark things off here. We're going to make our playoff brackets, and then after the Super Bowl, we'll compare how we did here. So let's start with the 7 seed Seattle at the 2 seed 49ers. I am going Niners, and I think you are too.
Yeah. As much as I want to hedge my feelings, I think I'm confident enough in this one. Considering we've played Seattle twice this year and they have a total of 1 offensive touchdown.
Yeah, I'm very confident in D'Amico Ryan's defense getting the job done there, no matter
if we
how.
lose,
yeah,
I will walk into traffic.
This is a high stakes game for you.
And my good buddy Jake, Kayla's cousin, texted me. He wanted Green Bay, because he said if we play Seattle and lose, he's going skydiving without a parachute.
Very, very high stakes game for that household. So, yeah, I think also you guys had Green Bay's number in a way that like no other team in the league does.
It almost was like we had their number so much. I'm like, this is going to change eventually, and I feel like it's going to be this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I was getting a little worried. And the Rodgers versus Purdy, the golden
I
class
did. I was
there,
like, is
but
that going to happen? Is
yeah.
Purdy going to beat her? Is that going to happen?
But now that it's Geno Smith, feels just a little bit different. Also, good on the Seahawks in a season where they expected to be 3-14,
Oh, heck yeah.
4-13 to make the playoffs.
Same thing applies what I said about Dan Campbell and the Lions. Just love it when good football players become a good football team and win good football games. And
they did it despite Russ, and it frickin' worked.
Yeah.
Like from the opening kickoff of Monday Night Football in Week 1, when that crowd was whipped up and guys like Lockett were just like in a frenzy, I was like, oh, this team's got a little something.
You could make an argument for Pete Carroll for Coach of the Year.
You really could. And everybody was saying Sirianni for months.
I'm actually confident. I was so confident he was going to win, and I'm so confident he's not going to win.
Who do you think's going to pip Shanahan then?
I don't know if it's going to be Kyle, just because I don't think people think anyone could have taken Brock Purdy this, but I mean, I think it was good. Like, people thought the Niners would be good, so they are good. I don't know if it matters too much, but I think Brian Daboll, he would be probably my pick, or if I had to guess who was going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But you can make
because he did more with less.
That's essentially what the award goes to. I feel like every year. But you can make a case for him. You could make a case for Pete Carroll. You could make a case for Dan Campbell if you want, even though they didn't make the playoffs. You could make a case for Doug Peterson.
Kevin O'Connell,
you could
minus 3-point differential, went 13-4. I mean, that's talent right there. You can't teach that.
But even him, I feel like he might get negative points because I think people think the Vikings are good.
Right.
Like
people think that the Giants are bad and they made the playoffs, so that's why
what goes into the Coach of the Year. Like,
right.
Like, congratulations, but Kirk Cousins is good. Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the league. Dalvin Cook, really good. I was going to name somebody on the defense, but
Kendricks, sure, yeah. We cannot cover
Daniel
a
Hunter
soul.
looked good today, but he played in Chicago.
Yeah, everybody looks good against Chicago.
Not the Niners, not Trey Lance, but that's a whole different.
So the Bears were 3-4, and the Niners were 3-4 heading into Week 8. The Bears finished 3-14.
Oh, I didn't even
and got the number 1 pick in the draft, and the Niners ran the fucking table and went 13-4 and are the number 2 seed in the NFC. Absolutely wild, and this is why we watch, because anything can happen. Going into Week 8, you were like, yeah, maybe we can turn things around, host a playoff game. That would be really cool. And now you're like, we're winning the whole fucking thing. And Bears fans,
I don't even know if I said that.
Yeah,
did I say that?
Yeah, you may have been like, oh, looks like we're gonna get McCaffrey.
I think I might have said like, oh, we'll get healthy and hopefully catch Seattle. That was what I was saying.
Right. Hopefully catch Seattle. And now it's like, oh my God, you're playing Seattle in the first round of the playoffs. It's nuts.
Hey, Seattle made the playoffs now, so don't tell me the Niners didn't beat any playoff teams. We beat them twice.
Yeah.
We also beat Miami and Tampa, so we beat 4 playoff teams.
Powerhouses. Absolute juggernaut.
And we also took the field against Kansas City.
Yes. Participated.
We also played.
Yeah. All right, let's go with the second game here. Chargers at Jags. I'm taking the Jags in that game. Who are you taking?
I would take the Jags. Yeah.
Okay, so we're the same there. Obviously, Miami, Buffalo on Sunday. That's Buffalo in a rout.
Yeah.
Yeah. No question there. I'm knocking on wood several times. I'm taking the Vikings to beat the Giants. Who are you going with?
Yeah,
that's going to be a close game.
It's going to be close, but because I actually think the Giants are better than what people think they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think they're like like we lose to the Giants. And Daniel Jones is playing really well, and they got a front four like they can get to the quarterback.
Great matchup for the Giants against
a heck of a year. Saquon Barkley is the second best comeback player of the year, running back behind Christian McCaffrey. Who else? Kenny Galladay caught a touchdown today, so that was cool.
Yeah, good for Giants fans around the country.
Paycheck.
Oh man.
So
that's what I'm most worried there about the Thibodeau and the front four of the Giants against our newly inept offensive line. It was holding up pretty well. Darisaw was back. It looks like Bradbury's going to be back next week, and then we lose our starting right guard and right tackle for the season. So big trouble on the offensive line. We'll see if we can get through it, but I will take us to win the first round matchup. Here's where we're going to diverge. I am taking Baltimore to beat Cincinnati as the 6th seed. I can't believe I'm saying that, but if Lamar comes back, I will take Baltimore in that game. Harbaugh's a better coach. I just feel like that's the spot for me this week for me to stake my claim on something that not a lot of people are going to agree with. I will take Harbaugh, this far superior coach in that game. Tell me I'm wrong.
You are wrong. Harbaugh probably is a better coach. In fact, I'm pretty sure he is. I think Cincinnati's going really far.
Okay.
We
saw that show last year, and I mean,
even if Lamar does play, he said he hasn't practiced in a month. Like, I mean, there are some people who are like, is he going to throw the game? Like, I don't know. It's just something's really off. Like, I don't know if like Lamar was as high character as you could get. Everyone loved him, but like, because there's other great players on the Ravens who are like, I don't have a deal after this year. I have no guaranteed money left. Like Lamar, you are getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's fully guaranteed or from somebody else. Like Lamar, you're going to be fine. I don't know. Something's just up. But
Joey's a big vibes guy, and the vibes around the Ravens are not good.
And yeah, I think it's pretty cool that they played today and then they play a week later.
That's what I like, is Harbaugh seeing the best of what Cincy has to offer, having a week to game plan against it. Zach Taylor's probably going to try to solve a Rubik's Cube for 7 days and let Burrow bail him out.
The Bengals might have some bad vibes, whatever you want to call it, coming to them with mocking the whole, the coin toss, like the whole thing. Like we're all upset, like Damar just ruined our whole season. Like I said, they went from pray for Damar really quick to getting a video from James. What happened, Damar? So seems like that was a little weird, but
you're pushing forward with Cincy. Okay, so you got Cincy. I am taking Tampa to beat Dallas, and even though they're 3-point underdogs, what I saw from Dallas today is what I've seen from them for the majority of the season. Yes, they boat raced the Vikings. Yes, they had some really solid performances, especially in the middle of the season, and then without Dak at the beginning of the year, which was very surprising. I think they are in a downward trajectory at the absolute wrong time. You can say what you want about the game today, but given the way Dak has been giving away the ball, Tampa still has a pretty good defense, and then Brady's going to be up for this game. So, could be his final career game. Who knows? I mean, I'm on Tampa here. What about you?
I'm on Tampa. I'm weirdly confident about it. Like the Dallas has gone from like, we them boys to we might not beat them boys. And yeah, Dak is turning the ball over more than anyone in the league right now. Their defense has had their second cornerback outside of Diggs is Traffic Cone.
Yeah.
And it was just last week that Mike Evans caught 950 balls for 1,000,000 yards against Carolina's banged up secondary. So I just, like you said, Tom, this might be it. It's at home in Tampa. Dallas is like, if they don't get up like 10-3 after the first quarter or something, like butts are going to get tight real quick. Like McCarthy's butt's going to be even tighter than it usually is. Like Kellen Moore, Dak, all these guys. Like, the only thing that's kind of saving them is Dallas really doesn't stop the run very well, and Tampa has like the worst running game in the history of the league, apparently. Boy, I don't know.
But all the pressure is on Dallas here. Like McCarthy might be coaching for his job.
All of them. Like everybody. Like who knows what Jerry Jones does if they lose this game? You're losing to an 8-9 team
who cannot physically run the ball. This is a lot of pressure on Dallas. That's probably the game of the week. I love that it's Buck and Aikman. Love that it's Monday Night Football. Must watch. That is going to be awesome. So we're both going with Tampa there, which means out of the NFC, we're going Vikings Niners in the first round or in the second round. And that would be in San Francisco or in Santa Clara. And I am going with the Niners there comfortably against a Vikings team that will probably keep it close, but
I wouldn't say, I mean, I'd pick the Niners. Just like you said, the Minnesota offensive line would scare me. Although it sounds like they get Bradbury back, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they were on their third center.
Yeah. The backup Schlotman, he was also out for the year after the game against the Packers. So offensive line is in tatters.
Darisaw back is going to help. I saw we got the Minnesota game on TV at the early game, so I watched a bit of that. And Dalvin Cook, they said they got banged up a bit, but he came back. But yeah, the offensive line. I mean, they've been complaining about the defense all year, but for me, the bigger thing would be the offensive line. But I would take the Niners.
Absolutely, I agree. Next one would be the Eagles hosting Tampa, and I mean that's going to be a closer game than people think. I will go with the Eagles nominally just because they will have a week of rest. I think they have a far, 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 far superior roster and head coach than Tampa does. Obviously, the quarterback advantage goes to Tampa, you would think, but I will go with the Eagles coming out of that matchup.
I want to take Tampa so bad, but I don't think I can. Philly is they scare me. If I was an Eagles fan, I would not feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the 2 weeks is going to help Jalen Hurts. And I just don't think Tampa's very good. It tells you what I think about Dallas. I don't think Tampa's very good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Philly would beat Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean Tampa. Sorry.
Yeah, Philly. Yeah, so we're both going Philly SF NFC title game. The AFC, I have Kansas City facing Baltimore, and I like Kansas City. They're big. You have Kansas City against Jacksonville in your bracket. Who do you have there?
Move it along.
Yeah, we'll go KC there. Especially with a week of rest, famously Andy Reid with a week of rest is just like unfrickin' beatable. They're having so much fun out there. They did a frickin' ring around the Rosie before they scored a touchdown against the Raiders. Like
I really thought about it after you texted me. I saw it again. I was like, you know what? Like if you did it right, you could really kind of hide or go really quickly, like where like certain people like personnel are. Like, you know, what if like they did that and like Travis Kelce's like, whoa, he went way over here, and then like crap, there's like a linebacker who can't run is covering him, or I don't know. Andy Reid, sometimes when you're that good, sometimes you just get bored and you just start making shit up.
Right, and maybe he's like, I'm trying this now in this mostly meaningless moment of the game to see if I can trot this out to scare the living shit out of Buffalo in the title game. I kind of feel like that's what the thought was there. It was also really cool to watch. Like these guys are having fun. That's a team that's really together. I have Buffalo facing Jacksonville and Buffalo winning handily in that game. For you, it's Buffalo, Cincinnati, and that is a big one right there. What do you have?
I have Cincinnati. I actually have Cincinnati beating them pretty handily.
Wow. And that game would be in Buffalo. So that would be a bit of an upset.
I was going to ask you, I'm like, I still don't understand it exactly, but I guess it's because that's just conference record.
Yes. Or whatever the tiebreaker ended up being. Actually, no, Buffalo finished with more wins because they did beat New England today. So New England Buffalo is 13-3 and Cincinnati's 12-4. So you have Cincy winning that one. So then we'll start with the NFC. I have the Niners beating the Eagles in the NFC Championship in Philadelphia. Rookie quarterback going in and winning that one. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I am going with the Niners to come out of the NFC. And your pick, you can abstain if you want. I will give you that option, but who are you picking?
I'm going to pick because the reality is this. My words have absolutely no bearing whatsoever on what actually happens in the game. So yeah, I would pick the Niners, although again, I just it's weird because I'm like I would if I was on if I was Skip Bayless tomorrow and I had to pick games against Shannon Sharp or something or Stephen A. Smith, I probably would. I would pick the Niners to beat Philly.
I think you match up well with them. I think if you were to face, say, like the Vikings in the NFC Championship, which can't happen given the seeding, but I feel like you match up better with Philly than you do with the Vikings because there's no. I mean, A.J. Brown is obviously very good, but the whole Jefferson factor with your corners and your secondary could be a little bit of a problem. I feel like what you do well aligns with what Philly doesn't do well.
I would disagree.
Okay.
Because of the offensive line. That's what scares me about Philly. They got to, well, I mean, Lane Johnson, who knows if sounds like he's going to play, but there's no way he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Mailata is a gigantic human being. Travis Kelce. Jason Kelce's really good. I think the Vikings offensive line tells me that our corners wouldn't have to cover as long.
Right.
If they could get to the quarterback. And they could double Justin Jefferson, and I would just say, okay, Adam Thielen, if you go catch 9 for 140, good for you. Which you might against Diamador Lenore because he can't cover anybody right now. But yeah, what scares me about Philly is not only do they have good offensive and defensive line. AJ Brown, when we played him last year when he was on Tennessee, absolutely destroyed us. And we didn't have Mooney Ward, so I think he could cover him a lot better. He sometimes follows the number one receiver, but what would scare me is Devontae Smith. Like his route running against whoever it would be, I don't love. Whether it's Hufanga, who doesn't look like he knows who he's covering some of the time. Love that guy. Great big vibe guy. Big vibes. But sometimes doesn't. I don't think he knows the play sometimes. Like when he makes a mistake, it's like, did he know the play?
Yeah, like the first game against Miami or the first play against Miami.
Yeah, did he know the play? Yeah.
Okay, so you're a little more worried about that matchup than I am, but we both are taking SF, and then I have it as KC Buffalo at a neutral site, which is rumored to be Las Vegas, but we'll see. And I have KC coming out of that game and getting back to the Super Bowl for a rematch with the 49ers. You have KC against Cincinnati. That game would be in Arrowhead Stadium, and your pick would be.
I know I said before this I had the same thing as you, Kansas City, but I guess I didn't understand how the matchups would work. I'm going Cincinnati.
Wow. Okay, so we're having a rematch of a couple of the Super Bowls in the 80s.
The Niners are going to go for the hat trick against the Bengals.
I can't believe it. So my pick, Kansas City.
That's crazy, though. I'm basically the Bengals go 2 straight AFC titles.
Yeah, I mean, if they do
Zach Taylor doesn't know what he's doing.
Exactly. If they do that, I mean, that puts Burrow right at, I mean, Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. He's the best quarterback in the NFL, no doubt. That puts
if Burrow
Burrow
is to win the Super Bowl. He's right there.
I put him number 2. Absolutely. If he gets to the Super Bowl again, even I put Burrow number 2.
Well, yeah. If he wins it,
if he wins it, I mean,
he's right there.
Mahomes gets.
He would have the MVP. He would have 2 MVPs.
That's true.
Because I think he's going to win it this year.
Right, man. And he'll have been maybe the best college quarterback.
But the thing for me is Joe Burrow. Like it looks like he kind of has his number.
It's true.
It would be 4 in a row, wouldn't it? If he beat him again in the playoffs.
Yeah. To this point, Burrow is 3-0 against Mahomes, including 2 at Arrowhead, I believe. Whatever it is, it's unbelievable.
I think 1. But that was the big one.
Right. It was the AFC championship.
Both regular season games were in
Cincinnati. You're right.
But the big one was in.
Yeah, and I gave them no chance in that game. I remember.
I think I remember texting you like, just all right. CBS can move on to golf or whatever they're going to broadcast because this is over. And then it was like, boom. Wait a minute. Oh boy, wait a minute.
Joey B. So
I do. I have an affinity for Joe Burrow just because he goes by Joey on his autograph. His autograph says Joey. His social media says Joey. So good for him.
Yeah, you want to talk about all-time vibes guy right there too.
He might be on the Mount Rushmore of vibes.
Today they asked him in the post-game press conference, do you think about like how long your contention window is and like is this one of our last chances to win with this group? He goes, our contention window is as long as I'm the quarterback. And I was like, that is what you're supposed to say when you're a fucking badass. Like, good on you, Joey B. Pretty
That's
incredible.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that and I was like, and he's of course smoking a cigar again in the locker room. I'm like, this man needs to be protected at all costs. So Kansas City over SF is my pick for the Super Bowl. I think that Mahomes and especially Andy Reid as well don't get the kind of credit they deserve. I think these are 2 first ballot Hall of Famers that they want probably their final moment together. I think Andy Reid is going to retire soon. He's been coaching since, I believe, 98 nonstop as a head coach, which is a long, long time, even more than Belichick. So I'm going KC over SF, a rematch of the 2019 Super Bowl. I know that hurts. What are you doing? You're going Cincinnati against SF. Who wins that?
I don't know why. I can't come to pick. It doesn't feel weird picking the Niners to get to the Super Bowl, but I would probably say Cincinnati over the Niners.
And you've been consistent with this all year. You've been putting Cincinnati right at the top of your power rankings.
I think they're really good.
Yeah.
And I think they would be if that is how it works, I think they would be by far the toughest team the Niners have played since they got dog walked by the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And, I did think that we looked not great today, and I know Arizona played nobody, but they put up 38 points. And even like when we were really good a couple years Super Bowl, putting up 24 points was hard for this offense. But for some reason now it looks like we just wake up out of bed scoring 28, 30 points and now give up 500 yards to Jarrett Stidham and the Raiders. I don't know what's happened in the last 3 weeks. Offenses seem George Kittle looks like an absolute Hall of Famer again. But we can't cover anybody. And when you play the Bengals, that's a gigantic problem.
Yeah. It's a very large problem. So you're going Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl. I am going Cincinnati to lose in the first round of Baltimore. That's our big whatever you call it. I don't know. What's the thing when people disagree? Hot take. Yeah, I mean, mine is more of a I don't know. I feel like they're equally large hot takes. Like, thinking that Baltimore can go into Cincy and win is a little bit crazy, and then thinking Cincy can get through both Buffalo and KC to win the Super Bowl.
That would be now thinking about that. That would because that means they would beat. Well, they didn't beat Buffalo. But
if they play Lamar, they will have beaten the 2019 MVP, the possible 2022 MVP, the 2018 MVP, and then the GOAT Brock Purdy. I mean, that'll be really impressive.
No, but I was going to say, if they would have done it that way, they would have beaten both Kansas City and Buffalo twice.
Right, in one season. Oh, man. That would have been...
And for the whole argument of, like, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, like, Joe Burrow would have a big old plant his flag into that argument. Because he would have a Super Bowl, and he'd pretty much say, like, well, you guys can't beat me. So... And the cool thing about that whole argument is you can't really argue like, oh, well, so-and-so's got a better team. Like, they're all really good.
Right.
Like, so, if you win the game, like it's not like, people would say like, Niners would play the Packers every year and they'd be like, does this mean like, is Jimmy a better playoff player than Aaron? I'm like, that is a little too much for me. But, it'd be, business is booming in the NFL.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. So I picked KC over SF in the Super Bowl, and Joey picked Cincinnati over SF in the Super Bowl. We'll look at those picks after the big game in Phoenix and chalk off who actually did better on those. So now we're going to move over to Joey's Jack and the Bum of the Week, the final one of the regular season. A lot of great candidates for you. I put New England's coaches as a candidate there. Gave up 2 kickoff return touchdowns, and then I thought that their defensive and offensive game plans were terrible, and I feel like Belichick either needs to completely redo his coaching staff or retire. I thought that was a pretty embarrassing performance when you give up 2 kickoff return touchdowns in the same game. And then I also put Dak on there, Dallas in general for a horrible performance, and then Houston for screwing over the first overall pick. But you actually respect Lovey for that.
I like as somebody who loves people as someone who loves watching other people be very petty. When it was rumored that him and Caserio were going to get fired, and he says, not only am I going to get a touchdown on 4th and 20, I'm going to go for 2. And I found I just like that's hilarious. So yeah, as you mentioned, fantastic candidates as there are every week. But tonight, after tonight, for me, the easiest one is the entire Green Bay Packers. Jack and the Bum of the week, the first one of the new calendar year 2023. So you are the only bums of the year. And I could just start with saying you lost to the frickin' Lions in a must-win game. Remember when Aaron Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee show this week and said the only must-win was World War II? Well, today was. And you lost. It was a must-win for you, not the Lions. They had nothing to play for. But somehow they played harder than you did and won. And Matt LaFleur got out coached by Dan Campbell. I mean, sometimes you're like, what does coaching do? But like Dan Campbell was like, okay, what a call. That like hook and lateral on what was it? It was second
it was-
and 17 to even
yeah.
get them close to a third down, and then they went for
Mhm.
it on fourth. Oh, the stones on that man.
Oh,
And then yeah, like I said, Quay Walker. If they would have won, I would have hoped he would have been suspended because pushing an athletic trainer who you want to push your own guy, fine, I guess. You still look stupid.
mhm.
But pushing the other guy, especially after what happened Monday, like what the hell are you doing? Like phone call from Roger immediately.
Mhm.
It's a terrible look. It's just it's the Green Bay Packers. I don't know where they go from here. Who the hell knows what Aaron Rodgers is thinking? Well, I guess we'll find out Tuesday. Tune into the Pat McAfee show. I guess because that's the only interview he does. Who knows what happens with Jordan Love? I don't know. It makes you. I think about it more with like Trey Lance. Like, what if we didn't make that trade and we just would have taken, I don't know, Micah Parsons, or even if we made the trade, what if that third overall pick we took Parsons, we took Pat Surtain,
Right.
what if we took Jamar Chase? Who knows? We wouldn't have a backup, or Trey Lance might be QB3.
Mhm.
But the Packers, what happens? You could have drafted somebody. I don't know where they go because they might go from Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love to nobody. If Jordan, because there were rumors Jordan Love wants out
Right.
if he's not going to play. But I guess if Rodgers retires, he would step up. But man, the turnovers. That's the other thing. Aaron Rodgers, he looked like his butt was tight. Bad vibes.
The whole season.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I just and it was it. Devontae wouldn't. I don't know if he would have made. I mean, sure he would have made a difference. He's a really good player, but I don't know. It was weird.
Packers jacking the bum of the week for the first episode of 2023.
All of them.
Yeah. I mean, all of them. I mean, where do they go from here? We do not know. We just know that they're not going to be in the playoffs, and they're Joey's first jacking the bum of the week of 23. We love
know
it.
They're going to the golf course. Maybe
So-
Whistling Straits. I think that's up in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Very long course, very challenging course. I'm sure Rogers will have a great time there. Maybe a little 1, 2, 3 Cancun for him as well.
I love that. Lions didn't do 1, 2, 3 Cancun. They went 1, 2, 3 W.
Yep, and in the cold too. Good on you, Jared Goff, who has a rap for.
You know what? I don't have a
the
Jack
kid
in the
from
Bum of the week.
Novato.
If we had a Jack in the Bro of the week, it might be Jared Goff because like
He takes a lot of
he
shit.
flat out was shit on by his own
Yeah.
team in LA. Like he did get them to a Super Bowl. Like Sean McVay, I mean, he didn't really hide him. So he was like, I need somebody else. And Sean was right. And he backed it up. So there ain't, it's just business is business. Sorry, Jared. But he has fully embraced Detroit. I think he's their Man of the Year nominee too, with what he's doing in the city. Yeah, it was freaking cold. And being a Northern California person, cold is freaking cold because cold out here is about 51. and I think that was 20 in Lambeau. And
he went in there, got the job done. Great offensive season for him and that whole staff. So good on the Lions and have fun at home, Aaron.
And would you say what do they pick? 6th?
6th and 18th. They have the Rams pick at 6 and then their own pick at 18. So
they draft some guys on defense because they really don't need much on offense.
Right.
They draft some guys on defense. Who knows? They could be a team, a perennial playoff contender, the Detroit Lions.
Can't believe we're saying it, but really does look.
Thanksgiving morning slot looking up.
Oh, stock way up on the Thanksgiving 9:30 a.m. game out here on the West Coast that you got to roll out of bed for. Things looking good for them in Detroit. Before we get to my You Like That picks of the week, one quick thing to talk about outside of the NFL. Tomorrow is the college football playoff national title game. It's out here in LA at SoFi. I've seen a lot of TCU and Georgia folks throughout the city this week that have come in.
That's right.
A lot of anticipation around the game. Tickets are so expensive. I thought like maybe I would go to the game if they were reasonable, like, $300, $400. I would consider maybe doing it if someone else wanted to go with me. No, it's like $900 to get in, and any seat where you can see what the hell's going on is like $2,100. Absurd. But given that it's Georgia versus TCU,
I wonder who that is. Like you say, you saw a lot of both. I wonder who, like, is that TCU coming? Is that Georgia? Probably Georgia.
You would imagine Georgia. It feels like a coronation for them, back-to-back champions,
The
undefeated
dogs.
season. Yeah.
Side note: nothing tickles me more than hearing a head football coach from the South say the word program.
I remember you telling me this earlier. You see, like Kirby Smart being like, "We're doing great things in this program," and you're just like, "That's my guy."
I just like, I don't know. Like it's the word, it's the way. It's just like that guy. That guy just wakes up every morning and is like, "How do I improve this program?" And it'd be like in early March, and that's all they think about. It's all that matters. I don't know. That's just it's funny.
Absolutely.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I already bet on Georgia -12 when it got to -12. It's now up to 13. I like Georgia to just roll in this game. I can't believe TCU is in the game in the first place. They weren't even ranked to start the season. Heck of a job by Sonny Dykes, the former Cal coach. Great on him. Incredible story. Max Duggan, awesome, out of nowhere. He lost a QB competition in training camp, and now he's a Heisman finalist, and he's playing for the national title. Incredible story. But I feel like this is where the rubber meets the road, and I really like Georgia to just cruise in this game.
Yeah, a guy who got benched against the mailman, apparently he's on the Van Wilder program at Georgia. I feel like Stetson Bennett has been at Georgia for like 8 years. But yeah, no, Georgia's gonna roll.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus around. I mean, I listened to a few college football podcasts, and everybody's saying if TCU hangs in this game, it is an all-time great coaching job by Sonny Dykes, who already won AP Coach of the Year.
Georgia is Georgia better at every single position?
Every position.
Is their backup better than every single starter on TCU?
And they're like, TCU played Michigan tough.
They got the receiver Johnson. I think that I saw potential first rounder.
Ohio State was the best team Georgia has played all year by a mile. So this is a step down in class from what they faced last week. We both like Georgia. Going to be a good game. Really fun to watch. I like when ESPN just goes all out for that for like the whole day tomorrow. So that'll be fun. And we're both going with Georgia, -12 money line, whatever. Just bet it. It feels like a slam dunk there. Let's go over to my You Like That picks of the week. So we finished the regular season 25, 15, and 5. Feel like that's pretty damn impressive given we're just two knuckleheads out here. But having your input, where you're like, hey, that's crazy. Like this week, if I was to pick Baltimore, you would be like, hey, don't do that. And normally I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll look at another game. But we only got 6 games to pick from this week, and I want to make 3 picks. So we usually do 5 picks a week. We're going to do 3 because there's only 6 games. Number 1 in our list here. I mean, I love Tampa. You love Tampa. It's +3. I already bet it at +3. I feel like, maybe there'll be some public money on Dallas, you would think, over the course of the week, just because they have so many fans and, such a better record than Tampa. But I feel like getting 3 points at home with Brady against Dak with the way he's playing right now. What do you think of Tampa +3 as our number 1 pick?
Yeah, I would pick Tampa to win.
Yeah, that's one that I'm on for sure. And then the other one I'm on is Jacksonville +2.5. I was thinking, maybe that'll get to 3, but then I saw the Mike Williams injury. I saw the Joey Bosa injury, and I was like, oh man, that's looking like a real good time to pick Jacksonville, especially if you're getting a couple points there. So what do you think about Jacksonville +2.5 as our number 2 pick?
Again, I think they're going to win.
Yeah,
we're picking underdogs, but I think they're going to win. I'm more confident in Jacksonville. Weirdly,
they're also home dogs
because I do really think Tampa is terrible, but I just would pick Tampa because I think as tight as your asshole can get, that's what's going to be Dallas.
And then, both of them being home dogs, I love that too in the playoffs. I feel like the home field advantage matters so much in the playoffs, as we all remember. Marshawn Lynch Beastquake, 7-9 Seahawks beat I believe it's 13-3 New Orleans that year. Home field advantage means a ton in the playoffs. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere in Florida for both of those games. And then my third pick, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to take Baltimore. I want to put a caveat out there that when I'm recording this, it's +6. I think that's going to go up significantly. So if you're thinking about betting that game on the Baltimore side, I would wait. Joey, you disagree strongly.
If you were listening to the earlier part of this podcast, which I think you were if you're still here, I picked Cincinnati to go to the Super Bowl.
So he has Cincy rolling there. So we're gonna go out on a limb here and make these our 3 picks. I know I'm gonna eat crow, especially if Lamar's out. I mean, this is just
but hey, if they win, it'll be a big old what happened, Joey.
Yeah, I'm setting myself up for one here, and so are you. All right, here we go. You like that wild card round picks of the week. We're 25, 15, and 5 through the regular season. Here we are in the playoffs. We're taking 3 games. Tampa +3 at home against Dallas. We like them at home. We think Dallas is going to have the tight sphincter factor going. Jacksonville +2.5 at home against the Chargers due to the Chargers injuries. And then we're going Baltimore. Wait till it gets to 7.5 if you can, but we're going to judge it at Baltimore +6. I think Harbaugh is such a significantly better coach. I think if Lamar is back, Baltimore is going to win the game. Can't believe I'm saying that. I am going to get absolutely trashed for this, but those are your You Like That picks of the week. Joey, it's time for your Feels Great Baby, your wildest take you feel best about at the moment. And you're talking about somebody who has been in the news for all the wrong reasons the last 4 weeks as his injury continues to linger and perplex.
Yep. I don't love this take. It's just not a great story. You know, some I just wildest take, and I'm like, you know what, this is a bold, like, good story. Like, oh, so and so is making the playoffs, or so and so's. My hot take is I think Lamar Jackson might have played his last game as a Raven. Something's up. I believe the Ravens are a pretty well run organization, and I feel like if they wanted to pay Lamar, they would have paid him already.
Mm-hmm.
Something's up. I think something's up with them. I think something's up with, like, people always say, well, get him a number 1 receiver. Well, someone's got to sign the contract. I don't think other receivers want to play in Baltimore with Lamar. As cool as a guy and nice as he might be, like, even a guy like Hollywood Brown said, I love you, Lamar, but I'm done, man. I'm tired of running the go route and having you run or chuck it down to Mark Andrews. Like, yeah, be a tight end. Go be a tight end for the Ravens. But I mean,
they're trotting Deshaun Jackson out there, old man.
Yeah,
Deshaun.
I have a general theory. No matter what sport it is, if you pay a guy like big money, and Lamar is going to get the big of the biggest money, when whoever pays him, and if you don't play the position you're playing, like the number 1 skill it requires the quarterback is to throw the ball from the pocket, mostly, but throwing the ball. I have a hard time paying you because, like, think about it in baseball. Like, if you're a shortstop, like, if you hit 40 jacks and hit 280 and, like, you're solid, but, like, if you can't field your position and, like, you know, be a good defender at shortstop, like, it's hard. Like, it's hard to win. Or, like, in basketball, like, if you can't shoot the ball, like, it's
Markelle Fultz, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's just
Ben Simmons.
Or, like, I could even take it to one of my just favorite players in the history of sports. Brent Burns was terrible in his own zone a lot, and if you can't defend, it's hard to win. And I think the Ravens know, like, we're going to pay this guy $45-50 million a year, and we're still not sure if he can sit in there and throw from the pocket as he gets older. And sadly, he's kind of become an unavailable player. Whether it's for some reason, even with or without COVID, he gets sick a lot.
Yes.
And he's been hurt, and it's something's up. And I think with the past offseason, like, look what Cleveland gave Deshaun. That arguably might be a horrible trade.
Oh yeah, inarguably, yeah.
You look at what Kyler Murray, horrible. Like, every Russell Wilson, all these quarterbacks guys. You want to, you know, the Colts. Whether it was a trade, the Colts traded a bunch for Matt Ryan, didn't work out.
Yeah, and Wentz,
horrible. Didn't, like, all this, like, big, you know, free agent trade offseason quarterbacks. It just didn't work. And I think the Ravens, I don't think they draft a guy because they're going to be so far down in the first round, but I don't know. Something's weird. And I don't think Lamar plays next year on the franchise tag whatsoever. So
right.
I think he gets franchised, and I think they trade him. I think best case scenario for Lamar is he goes to Miami. I think he's from there. They're going to need a quarterback because Tua might be in the hospital. Who knows? I don't know, but I just something's up with Lamar, and I think he's played his last game as a Raven.
A little bit of a hot take there. I first of all, I want to say I like Lamar. I've always liked Lamar. I think he's an incredible player. I think he can win the Super Bowl. He's that good of a player for them. I just think what's transpired since he won his MVP in 2019, it's been like, yes,
someone said that today. Like 2019 is going to be 4 years ago. Like from next year. Like that's a long time.
He's progressed massively as a passer, I think, but he's still one of those players who his availability will always be in question for the rest of his career, whether it's illness, whether it's the knee, whether it's he takes a ton of hits because he plays in a very physical style. I just something doesn't feel right long term, but I think like if you come into a game like I'm saying with my pick of Baltimore to win next week, if you come into a game with a guy like him, if he's healthy and functional, he will give you a better chance to win than most players. Obviously, there's still like week in, week out, you're
will
like,
he take a 2-year $110 million deal?
That's what I'm saying, is like that guy can win you the Super
Bowl. Would they overpay
him
for the next 2 years? Like they don't have the long term. Would they give him 2 years 110, like give him like 55 a year?
Yeah, I wonder if he would I don't think his camp
fully
would want him to take that. But that's what I would say. If I'm Baltimore and I know my fans love him and I know he's like the nicest dude and
that is
won
a big
an MVP,
deal.
I would,
to an owner, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, 2 years, 110 million or something like that does make a lot of sense. Probably not for Lamar's side, but he's going to want a long-term deal. And there are teams that would line up to give him a much longer-term deal. The Jets.
Would you rather give Lamar? Here's this. Would you rather give Lamar 5 years? What would it be? 5 years, 240 guaranteed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you do that, or would you trade him? Because you probably, let's just start with what it took to get Trey Lance, and he's not a functional player right now. Like, do you get 3-1? Like Russell Wilson, do you get 3 1s and 2 2s?
Like, I'm trying to think of who could even put together a package like that and feel comfortable about doing it. Like, Detroit makes sense because they have all those picks, but they're probably okay with Goff. I don't know. It's a tough scenario because you're like, first of all, who would be willing to do that overpay for both? Like, who would pull a Cleveland and give away all their picks and all their money for Lamar?
Well,
I don't know.
Well, my first guess, they need a quarterback. And I believe we're the second team in the running for Lamar. Would Atlanta do it?
You would think so. Especially if they make a change at coach.
Because there are rumors that Lamar was going to Atlanta until Cleveland went YOLO on the contract offer.
Right.
Would Atlanta do it?
Deshaun was rumored to go to Atlanta. You said Lamar.
But, did I?
Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah. That does seem like a decent fit. I don't know if he would want to go there. That division is awful, so it feels like he would be a shoo-in, playoff team if we were to make that move. But I like your take here. I do think it's probably more likely than not that he will stay with the Ravens long term. Something about giving him a.
This is not something anything a big fat check couldn't cure.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Like if they, work something out.
Some things it's like, like there's locker room, they don't like each other. It's like if he gets a blank check, he'll walk in the building the next day and, hey everybody, brought donuts, cookies, like kumbaya. It's a one big happy family. It really would.
Step one is he's got to get on the field next week for a big game in Cincinnati in round one.
That would go a long way into like kind of extending the whole like, if you go 50, I'll go 50, and we'll meet in the middle. Like,
right,
Lamar, you if you're anywhere near healthy, you have to play.
Right, and I think he will, and I hope he does. I love the guy, and I love watching him play. So we'll see how that goes next week. Before we close the pod, let's talk about some stuff outside of sports. We've been gone for a couple weeks. We both had great holidays with our families. I wanted to talk about New Year's resolutions and like some that we've made for ourselves going into next year, and then some ones that we just like freaking hate when people say that that's their New Year's resolution.
New year, new me.
Oh my God. See, that's what I hate is like social media, new year, new me. Oh,
side take. I told you this. I've I've deleted the social media just because I literally got depressed reading some of it so much
Mm-hmm.
because it's just the bathroom of the internet
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the time. I miss some video. I miss some of the funny videos, but I overall, to be honest, it's been quite a cleansing experience.
I might need to try that.
Yeah, I just it's wild, but I will
Yeah.
say I do miss some of the memes of like New Year's and like all the Planet Fitness commercials. January is a big Planet. Who is January a bigger month for? Planet Fitness or TurboTax?
Oh man. Well, March. I feel like March and April for TurboTax is just off the charts. But
I feel like every commercial. Speaking of commercials, I think I saw a new progressive like "Don't Be Your Parents" one today, and it made me really happy.
oh, those are the best commercials on
Did
TV
you
by
see
a
the new
mile.
one? At least I haven't seen it yet. Where that dude's cleaning the trash can.
Yeah, and he relabels them with his address and name and
he's like,
number.
yeah, what? He's like, just being prepared. He's like, or so. What do you say? And
He's
then the
washing
guy's
his
like,
trash can.
yeah, he's like, the guy's like, a trash
It's
can.
trash. It's trash. Oh, I love those. Those are the best ones on TV. All right, so some New Year's resolutions that people make that I don't like, that I feel are like ugh, cliche. Number one, gonna eat better. You're not. None of us are. We live in America. You can get anything you want
That's funny
whenever
because
you
mine
want it.
is usually I'm going to eat more.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's definitely not yours. You've had basically the same diet since we first met in college, 12, 13 years ago, and it's not going to change anytime soon. The gonna work
The only
out
thing
more.
going to change it is if they keep raising it because since we were in college, I swear that thing is doubled in price.
Yeah, you're freaking double quarter pounder large.
And
With
it's a
yeah.
problem when it goes from $7 to 14 because unlike most people, I order two of them, so it costs me like $30.
Oh, God bless your arteries. They are working so hard overtime for 30 years at this point. I can't believe it. Other ones gonna work out more. Obviously, that's a good one. Good on you. Don't need to see the videos. Don't need to see the pictures on
I might
Instagram.
get a new role in Super Size Me 2 or 3, whatever they're on.
Yeah, that you're more of a science experiment at this point. You know, with the amount of fast food you've eaten in your life, it's like, how long can he make it? Can he make it to 70 with this
I
diet?
think this is the point in the podcast that my mom turns it off.
Other ones that I see a lot of online. I'm gonna change jobs. I'm gonna read more books. I'm gonna have less screen
Oh, the
time.
job one. I'm gonna talk to my boss about how I'm getting overworked in my pay. Yeah, no, you're not.
No,
You're gonna sit there and mope like me.
Yep. You're gonna scroll on social media more, and you're gonna post cryptic tweets about how much you hate certain things, and everybody's gonna message you and be like, "Why did you say that? Are you okay?" And you're gonna be like, "It's just some tough stuff at work." Like, be an adult. Come on now. I don't like those. Some actual New Year's resolutions, though.
What I was before? What is like? How far do you think people make it? Like, if they actually say, "Oh, I'm going to eat better," like where would the day be? Where the line would be?
For me, I did that.
Or just anybody. Like,
I did that last year because I was getting married in late February, and I lost like 25, 28 pounds, something like that, in between like mid-December and the wedding. And then once the wedding was over, for whatever reason, I was just like back to the good old me. And now look at me.
but you got married what, end of February, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I made it.
I feel like
months.
that would be pretty far.
Yeah.
For people who do New Year's resolutions. Like if you go 2 months, like
2 months is
I'd
pretty
give you
good.
credit. 2 months is pretty good.
I don't know how far I usually make it. I feel like the one I would always do is like, I'm going to eat healthier because I do exercise a lot. I play a ton of pickleball. I play a ton of golf. I go on lots of walks. I get a lot of exercise. I eat like garbage on the weekends, and it ruins all the progress. I feel like, making it 2 months is actually pretty good. As far as like actual
really
New Year's
good.
resolutions, what are you going with this year? Mine is going to be, yes, I'll try to eat less. That's obviously something I need to do, but I would say the ones that I put on my list, eat less, listen more. Jamie's going to love that one.
We could totally get into New Year's resolutions in a marriage, partnership, relationship. We could do that. We can do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah, we've already hit the hour mark here, so I'm going to try to keep it a little bit less. But I also put take some golf lessons, do more time at the range and less at the course, because my game has just dropped off precipitously in the last few months. And then, like you said, less social media. I feel like less social media, less worrying about the news, trying to focus more on like what I can
honestly, dude,
control.
I highly recommend it.
Hot take.
I know, like, it's like there are some things I really do miss, like my dad scooping me on the playoff schedule. Like that's kind of a bummer. That was kind of my thing, like me knowing things before he did. But if I lose that, what do I have, Erik? No. Well, I was thinking about like a podcast. I was like, my New Year's resolution, I'm going to talk better about Mike McGlinchey. It's a new year, new me. I'm going to say nice things about him because he actually played really well against the Raiders, and I'll give him that. I think Max Crosby had his worst rated game as a rusher, and so I was going to come on here, new year, new me, and Mike McGlinchey. Hats off to you, baby.
I love it.
Today, not so much, but Raider game, you were great. If I had a serious New Year's resolution, my thing would probably be to not try as hard as I possibly can. Actually, that's not the good way to put it, because when you don't want to focus on it too much, but is to not be so mad all the time. Like road rage, just Joey, just stop it. You don't need to do it. You don't even drive a car that much. You work from home, and your food gets delivered. You don't go very much, so you don't need. Why are you so mad? That would be it.
Mike McGlinchey gets beat off the edge. No, it's okay.
I'm like, yeah, Mike is fine. Totally fine. It's all good. It's not like this matters. Yeah. No, that'd probably be it. Don't get so mad.
Not too bad.
I can't. I mean, I can't with a straight face say I want to eat better. We both know that's not going to happen.
I'm going to make an effort to do it, and we'll see how long that lasts. I feel like I got to keep my current exercise routine and then just eat less. That's the key for me. It's less. It's not like healthier. Like, I went to sushi last night with Jamie, and she ordered, I think, some tempura and then a Philadelphia roll and a couple pieces of nigiri. I ordered, I think, 16 pieces of nigiri and 3 rolls and a miso soup and something. Like, I just go nuts. Even at sushi, which is supposedly relatively healthy, I go ape shit. I order $90 to $100 worth of shit for myself. That's my problem.
That's
when
hilarious.
It's like,
because I think about myself, like, could I eat better? Of course I could. Could I, do all this stuff? But like, if I just simply started with just eat less, bro. Like, just put the fork down. Like, even if you ate the same food and exercised the same, which is very to little or none, like, just put the pizza down. Like,
put it down.
Like, sometimes Caleb will be like, what do you want to eat? And we end up, of course, like we got DoorDash the other day, and she's like, what do you want? We both are always like, we should get this because it's really good leftovers, so we could order more, and then we'll have something for tomorrow. We don't have to worry about it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's gone that day.
It doesn't make it.
Yeah. Just eat less, man.
Yeah.
Like, just eat less.
It's going to be a challenge.
If I could do, maybe that's it. You just eat less. Like, the family size of chips is not a personal pizza. Okay.
That's what I wrote in my notes is eating better and eating
you scratch
less.
That out. Eat
very
better.
Different.
It's like, no.
Very different. People who say I'm going to eat better, I'm like, fuck you. But people who say I'm going to eat less, I'm like, no, there's progress. So that's what I'm going to try to do.
You can't go to eat better until you eat less.
Exactly. That's half the battle. Like, when I go to sushi, maybe order enough for an adult male and not for the entire offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings,
Yep.
And with that, we'll call this episode. Thanks for listening. This was our 10th episode. We really appreciate everybody who listens and rates and subscribes. It's super cool to be speaking to all of you and getting some feedback from you. So Happy New Year to all of you from Joey and I, and then we'll see you next week. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Vikings 49ers matchup. If either of our teams stumble, especially if the Niners stumble, it will be a very, very somber episode, but we will be back next week to talk with you, and we'll see you then.